Hey guys, welcome to the inaugural episode of the Dragon's Den. My name is Miller Whitt,
I'm Kale, Shumate.
and this is our guest, Akin.
How's it going, guys?
It's going good. How are you?
Great.
Man, excited to be here.
Sir.
So, coming up, we have Fields of Faith, and we brought Eric on, and he is a leader for Fields of Faith and for FCA. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you do for FCA?
Yeah, so FCA is the world's largest sports ministry, and so I'm the area director with them. I cover Northeast Texas and South Arkansas, have about 150 campuses that I reach out to. Lack of a better term, I'm a sports missionary for the local high schools, middle schools, as well as colleges.
That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do to?
Yeah, so our goal with FCA is to engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes to share their faith on campus. I tell people all the time, everybody has influence, but especially athletes. Athletes have a lot of influence. I mean, their name gets called on Friday night or Tuesday at the volleyball game or Friday night at the football game. And so you leverage that influence to share your faith on campus as well as in the community. You know that on Saturdays, usually it's the little kids that play, and so they come out and maybe a kid's number 51 on Saturday. Well, the first person he's going to try to find is number 51 on the field, and he's going to watch that kid the whole time. So number 51 now has a responsibility to leverage that influence one way or the other, whether it's going to be positive or negative. And so our goal is that they would share their faith of Christ, if they have that faith, with their campus as well as with the community.
That's a good point. So, now that we know a little bit about you, can you tell us a little bit about Fields of Faith?
Fields of Faith, man, it started 12 years ago here in Texarkana. It actually originated in Oklahoma. A guy named Jeff Martin started it just to pull people together. Neutral site at a football stadium. A lot of kids won't go to church anywhere, but they'll come to a football stadium. And so the goal is to read Scripture as well as students to share their faith or share their God story, as we call it. The church would call it a testimony, if you will. And so our whole goal of that night is to build the stage physically and spiritually for students to be able to share their stories. And at the end of the night, we just give students an opportunity to respond to that message that students have shared, as well as a keynote speaker. And it's just been a huge blessing for our community. We started 12 years ago, and man, just the growth that we've seen. Our first one had 2,300. Last year we had close to 5,000. So man, in 12 years, it's amazing what God has done with it. And it's not so much, it's not about FCA, it's not about us, it's not even about a single church, but it's about the name Jesus being lifted up. And so we're not bashful about that, we're not shy about it, and every student's invited to come and be a part of it.
That's awesome. I think last year y'all had the magician outside that was doing all the magic card tricks and everything like that.
Yeah, actually 2 years ago we had that guy.
Oh, really?
Last year, no, it's fine. Last year we had a guy, Keith Davis, that came in and shared about closing the gap. But 2 years ago we did have Jared Hall, and Jared's one of my good friends and has done several events for us. And he's phenomenal. He's probably the best speaker that we've ever had at Fields of Faith, and man, making him. I mean, he does this handcuff thing at the end, and I'm still trying to figure out how he did it. So, and to see him at school assemblies, and to see him at that event, and just behind the scenes to see those guys how they live their life is, to me, is very important. Because if you put the wrong person out there that's all about the show, I think you'd learn more about a person off the stage than you do on the stage. And so, yeah, it's really cool, that keynote. But you know what? The biggest thing that we see with Fields of Faith is our God stories, the students that share their faith. And I mean, one of your very own, Greer, shared his last year. And man, just the impact that he has just by sharing that by video. We do live and video. Greer was specifically by video last year. And man, the impact that he has in sharing his story. It impacts somebody in the stadium that night, but not just that night, but down the road. And then the responsibility to live that out on your campus can be an enormous responsibility.
Definitely. Hearing the students, for sure, like, that's what really speaks to you, because you know those experiences, you know what they're talking about. It's on a very, like, personal level.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, like you're saying, I mean, now you walk the halls with that guy.
Yeah.
And here's the thing is, a lot of times we can get caught up, well, they're not perfect. Well, none of us are. And to know how Christ is interjected into our imperfections. He is the perfect person, and he still takes us in, even as our imperfections. I was reading in Genesis chapter 3, where it was after the fall of man with Adam and Eve. And here they are, they've disobeyed God, and like he's handed out the punishment. And then it states, and God made them clothes. I thought, man, that's what an act of grace. And all of us need grace.
Amen.
To me, that was the first act of grace that we see. And I think for all of us, that when a student shares their story, man, just giving grace, even when we all fall, man, I make mistakes. We all do. And, man, those that share their story, man, what courage to go, by video or even live to share your story is a big thing.
Yeah. I know that Kale's been too, but
Yeah.
I was just talking to my dad today actually about it, but 4 or 5 years ago at Fields of Faith, I was actually saved.
Yeah.
I don't know if he remembers.
Oh, I do remember that, man. My dad came down, and it was just, I'll never forget my dad looking at you and goes, "You just made the greatest decision of your life," and tears are in his eyes. You got tears in your eyes. Of course, your dad's a wreck. It was just great. So, but your dad's been a big part of it, and it's really cool to see what God's using it and how he's using it.
Yeah, it has.
It's pretty awesome. So this year, y'all are expecting big numbers for FCA?
We think so. This time of year, I get real nervous just because you're like, my wife, she laughs at me. I'm like, I don't even know if anybody's going to show up. She goes, people are going to show up. But if I ever lose that, I'll never forget the great running back Emmitt Smith said, when you lose the butterflies, you probably need to retire. Yeah. And I just don't lose the butterflies because I just don't know. Is this the year that nobody shows up? Is this the year that more show up? But I think it's going to be a great year. Our T-shirts are neon colors this year, multiple neons, and we're already getting a lot of positive feedback about that this year. So we're pretty excited because we hand out 2,000 for Texarkana Fields of Faith in order to publicize it. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So talking about numbers, whenever y'all call the students down to be saved on the field at PG, what kind of numbers y'all looking at for that?
Man, just the crazy part is there's not really a specific number. It's a great question, but there's not a specific number. But because I don't know that every kid that comes down is truly about salvation.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of kids, and I know this sounds so cliche-ish and kind of maybe even corny, but we got a lot of kids come down. They just need a hug. They don't have love at home. They've never had somebody just to say, "Man, and God loves you, I love you." Like they're just struggling emotionally, or they're struggling with maybe even physical. We've had all kinds of situations of kids that came down and just struggling with different things in their life. So we have hundreds that come down, but like last year, I would say we probably had 500 that came out of the stands, but 300 made that first time decision. I'd love to see us hit 1,000 this year. I'd love to see 10,000 in the stadium. People are like, "Where are you going to put them?" Well, we got 100 yards. We'll fit them in there somewhere, But here's the deal: we'll go to football games, and we'll go to other things, and we'll support those things. Why can't we come to something like this that's life changing?
Exactly.
Sports can be life changing, but it's so temporary. But this is eternal. This is forever. The decision that you make that night. So, man, I'd love to see thousands come to Christ. That's why we do this.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
I know a lot of churches are gonna. When is this, Wednesday night?
Yeah, Wednesday, October
I
2nd.
know a lot of churches are gonna get their buses and they're gonna put a bunch of kids on the bus and just go straight to the thing. So if anybody out there wants to go to Fields of Faith, just go to your local church like Redwater over here. You can just go straight to it with them.
Absolutely, and we have schools that they'll bring their teams on their school buses as well, and your police officer here, Dustin. He's been phenomenal, and he told me last year, man, that we directed over 1,200 cars out of the parking lot, but we had over 40 school buses that were there as well, and then on top of that, church vans. That's crazy. So, man, encourage your coach to bring your teams. Encourage, like you say, your church, man, to be involved, just come out and be a part. Tell your youth pastor, hey, you don't have to speak tonight. You just got to be there. And the first 1,000 get free Chicken Express that walk through the gate. How about that? Chicken Express. Yeah. Everybody likes Chicken Express.
Who doesn't like Chicken Express?
That's right.
Who doesn't like white gravy?
That's right. That's right.
Rolls.
October 2nd.
October 2nd, Pleasant Grove.
Pleasant Grove. Be there at Fields of Faith. Thank you, Eric, for coming out.
Thank you,
Man, appreciate you guys having me.
For sure. All right. Thank you for watching the first inaugural episode of The Dragon Den.
We'll see y'all next time.